And good evening. I'm your friend Scotty Ray, along with Odie Barret, who is the head of Lima in Lauderdale County, here to talk weather tonight. Now, joining us, I thought we'd kick off Odie and talk to one of the best meteorologists that we've got in the neighborhood. And, of course, I'm talking Storm and Norman. Norman, a lot of folks follow you. You're usually pretty accurate on what you've got. What we're asking is, what are you seeing here in the future of what we've got weather-wise?
Well, it's going to be a pretty long event, and that's going to be the big problem. It's not going to be a single line, coming through. It's going to be multiple lines coming through, and it's going to basically from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, it's not going to be, you're not going to be under severe weather for 12 hours, but the threat's going to be there. And the problem is these multiple lines coming through, outside the tornado threat, it's going to have a lot of flash flooding. We don't know where the tornado is going to be, but we know if it rains 2 to 4 inches or locally 5 to 7 inches in some places, there's going to be some things underwater tomorrow afternoon.
Right. All right. Now, something that I've been watching here is our overnight look, what we've got that is coming on the west side of us. Now, Newton County has now been included, and let me pull this up. Let me pull up radar here and show everybody what we're talking about when it comes to severe overnight. And all right, they've moved that line. That was hogwash. Never mind. That did not happen as we pull this up. It was an earlier map, and that's out of date now. But we've got it right outside of Jackson there at Scott County for the overnight. The number 3 from basically Lufkin, Texas, all the way to just east of Jackson.
Yes, there are already tornado watches and also tornado warnings out for Louisiana. So, western Mississippi, this is going to start tonight. It'll start before the sun comes up. Jackson Metro, probably, 3, 4 a.m. could be under the gun. And so they need to be, have a way to be alerted if they're asleep during that time period.
Now, are you betting that in the overnight hours it will be from Jackson west to the Mississippi River?
Yes, then by sunset, I think you're going to see some thunderstorms creep into our western counties like Scott in that area. And but the time frame is just really hard because if you pull up one of the computer models, it just the line is just kind of stationary, for several hours. You don't see that a lot. Usually this is pretty progressive and moves pretty rapidly. But that's not going to be the case tomorrow. So trying to nail down, usually the time frame is from 6 to 9, 9 to 12, but this is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Right.
So that's when the National Weather Service puts that out, they're saying that's telling everybody this is going to be a long event. This is not going to be a couple-hour event, and it's going to be over with.
Now, do you see long track tornadoes mixed with this one, or will these be these touch and goes with this? What are they saying behind the scenes on this?
They're saying there's a possibility of strong tornadoes, definitely in our area. I think if you had to do like a bullseye, the area that I would be really, really concerned about, if you said there was a pretty strong tornado, where would it be? And I would probably say from, Hattiesburg to Macomb line. That area to me is just like it's a magnet for tornadoes anyway. And that seems to be like the bullseye. But anything really south of Highway 82 has a chance for tornadoes. And further south you get, more likely that you're going to get into those, possible stronger 2s and above. But that's a possibility as far as north of Philadelphia, Louisville too.
Okay, and what we're seeing there, Meridian is kind of the Kipper County, kind of the line there, and then from there south is going to be the worst of the weather. North of there, level 2. Am I reading that right?
Yes, that's the last graphic I saw.
All right, Norman, we'll be checking back with you back and forth on this as this storm comes and your predictions. And how much rain do you think? Let's ask that. I hadn't asked that.
That's looks like 2 to 4 inches. But that's going to be pretty much the average. But there's going to be spots that get over 5 inches tomorrow, and so that's going to be a lot of water that's going to be coming down. That's, like I said, that's to me that's the kind of the main concern because we don't know where the tornado is going to be. We know where the flood is going to be, and especially like these county schools and these buses have these long routes. Those are things I'd be really concerned about tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, yeah, and we will keep that in mind. And as always, keep in touch with us, and we'll be back to find out more from you as we wait for this weather event to come in. Thank you so much, Norman, for joining us.
All right, thanks, Scotty Ray.
Thank you.
Again, Storm and Norman, they're joining us this afternoon, rather. I'm getting my mornings and afternoons all mixed up as we look at this, Odie, of what is becoming, what do we expect. Now, let's turn to you of what you're thinking is going to happen.
We have to look at everything almost to where it is worst case scenario. We have to be prepared for the worst. We don't want to look at something and say, okay, well, there's a small chance this may happen. We really need to pay attention to the potential of what we can have in our area. And watching this storm system come across, especially out of Texas, coming into Shreveport.
Let's look at this. We've had, as we pull up radar right here, let's look at this. There are a manufacturer, a mobile home has been totally destroyed right here. If you'll see this note here that we've got on radar, and this is going to be in Cadco County as we zoom in on this. Look at that.
Yeah,
all in this right there.
That's the system that's coming straight to us.
Matter of fact, there was 2 touchdowns. We have one here and then one just across at Texas. That's Marshall, Texas. This one here, damage at Old Town Road. That gives there's several trees shattered, fire clearing trees off of 451. They're trying to clean the roads up in those areas. Now, I've been sitting here watching behind the scenes to where there's been 4 or 5 tornadoes issued at the same time.
Yeah, and that's tough. And this timing. If you looked on the map and saw this system, you're looking saying that system's going to go northeast from us, and that particular system will, but it's the system that's developing south of that is what we are anticipating. What we're going to get is not on there yet, but we're watching this entire system as it develops, as it grows, as it shows the potential of the strength that it's got coming out of Texas.
And that's what's so hard about this, because I've been asked a lot about this, and you go to radar and there's nothing to compare it to, because I can look at a radar and look at those and tell about, we don't have that yet.
We don't have that yet. We're just going by data that's out there. The heat that we've had the last few days, and now you've got this cold front behind it. We're going to have temperatures down in the 20s in another week or so.
Did you see that S word?
Yes, I did. And, here we are. Last week we had the Bikers for United for Children, and we're in short sleeves, tank tops, shorts, and then 10 days later we're talking freezing temperatures, the S word. This is kind of abnormal.
I joked about this, but all folks know this guy just as well as I do. Joe at the Piggly Wiggly. I ran into him yesterday. I said, Joe, go ahead and get the bread. Have a truck backed up to the back of the store. We're going to need it.
Going to need it. Going to need the water. Going to need the milk. Bring them on in.
We had a question there. Patty asked, said, you've mentioned before about getting outside help for storm shelters. Are we any closer to that? And what can the community do? Is there someone that we need to contact, maybe in a state office, to help out with this?
So right now where we're looking at as far as storm shelters is FEMA has a program that they have launched with MEMA. Now that program is only on 6 counties down in our southwest, and that's their pilot program. And once that program, it's underway now, once they see how that's developed and see how that program is going to work, then they're going to expand that out. And once that next set of counties gets involved, we'll see how that develops, and then we'll understand more how they're going to operate. Are they going to do the entire state, or they're going to do half the state? We're not real sure. This is kind of new for them. The last time anything like this was done was back in Katrina, and now they're starting to do different programs for a personal shelter, not a community-wide shelter. So we're still waiting to see how this first pilot program comes out and see where it pushes the decision to move to the next step. So I don't see us in the next step, but hopefully by the third set of counties that come out, we should be included in that. We continue to talk with FEMA. We continue to push that Lauderdale County is in need of that system, that all of our people want that system. And
Yes.
I'm not going to stay real quiet. I want them to know that, hey, we want to be part of this program. So Lima's doing everything we can do to push that and to keep that up in the mindset of FEMA, where hopefully we're there sooner than later.
All right, and you know, I know a lot of people hear me say this a lot. You know this better than other because you are the person that has to drive up after a tornado has hit a home. You're one of the first people that walk in with the fire departments and our local volunteer fire departments as if there's damage and someone is hurt. Yeah. Let's talk about advice. And I brought this up about trees in your home. If you've got windows, do you raise them? Do you close them? What do you do, Odie? You're in the middle of the night. You don't own a storm shelter, and you hear here or somewhere that there's a tornado that is close to you. What do we do?
You know, first off, I mean, I live in a double wide, and I know a lot of people say I'm not leaving home. I have seen a brick home get demolished with a double wide or single wide right beside it with no injuries. The reason that we say a mobile home is not the safest place to be is because it is more likely to get destroyed over a home, because you can get air underneath that home and pick that home up. Being a mobile home, a brick home is going to be more or less on the ground, right, or have a brick facade. So if you've got a brick facade that goes around your mobile home, not a skirting, you're a little bit safer. But for the main part, go ahead and pick out before this storm even comes up. Make sure you know where your safe place is. Is it going to be in the bathroom? Is it going to be in a particular closet? Is it going to be in one particular bedroom? But you want to be as close to the center of the home as you can get. You want to be in a room that has no windows, and you want to be in a solid room that's not going to have objects that will fall on top of you. And get down, protect yourself. You want to make sure that nothing can hit you in the head, that you're protected. If you've got a small child, make sure that you're on top of that small child, that you're protecting that small child. But get as low as you can. And
and I brought this up about not wearing tennis shoes or house shoes to bed during things like this. Have hard sole shoes on because of glass, nails.
Yes, wear your shoes. As bad as that sounds, wear your shoes to bed, because if you've got to get up, you're not going to remember to put on your shoes, and you're scared, your adrenaline's running, and you just want to get out of the house. So if we have something like this, you know, definitely have your shoes on, have your cell phone, have your weather radio, have multiple means of communication available. Everything we do is redundant. You know, everybody looks at us like we're crazy because we have so much of the same thing at Lima, but we have to make sure that if one system goes down, we've got a backup, and if that failed, we have a backup to it. Same thing at your home. Multiple ways to have communications, not just for your neighbors and your friends, but to get updates,
right,
and know what the weather's going to be like.
I've talked about the NOAA weather system being one of the most loudest, aggravating things you can own, but it will save a life. It will wake you up,
save your life,
and let you know. Let's pull this up, Odie, as we look at this. Let's talk about tonight. Let's pull up radar. Let's pull up Meridian Honda radar. This is what we're looking at: the severe threat overnight. As you'll see, the Meridian area 2, York, Alabama, y'all are a level 1, and northward, all this area, all the way up through Grenada, Kosciuszko, our friends up in Louisville. You're in this. To our west, let's zoom in on this. Right around McGee, Taylorsville, y'all are in that 2 area. As we get to Pelahatchie, going into Jackson, is where it will move to a 3 in the overnight hours. Now, let's go ahead and look at this. This starts at what, 7 a.m.?
7 a.m. is when we want to think that we're going to see this system starting to move in. So,
This is what we've got here as we look at radar. Now, let's turn on locations. And there is nothing wrong. I want to be very clear about this. A lot of folks geographically don't understand maps. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what we're here for, to tell you and explain and give you a location that is close to you. Let's turn on our locations here, Odie, and look closer at this. As we go northward here, this is the utmost edge, Bennsville, Mississippi, right up here at the Wahalik Baptist Church. And we'll go west over across Cypress Mills, right there at the Dollar General there over in Preston. Y'all are included in this. Then we go right on over and we truck right on through Philadelphia, Burnside Park. We're going to go over to the casinos, is the line there on Highway 16 that's a level 3. And then you can pretty much bet your boots everything south of there is a level 3. As we look here, Lisbon, Alabama, Livingston, Butler. As we look at all of this area through Clark County, every bit of this is a level 3 all the way to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, taking in all the way over to Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Yeah, that's we've also got weather alerts on my phone for the coast, Gulf Shores, and Robertsdale, where we've got another place, my wife's place, and so we keep up with the weather down there as well. And same thing, they're preparing there like we're preparing here, because this storm system is going to have that big of a reach.
It is. Now, let me pull this up. Let me hit a couple buttons. I didn't do something before we started, and pull this up where everybody can see what is predicted from the National Weather Service as we look at all of this. This is the latest that we've got here from the National Weather Service on flash flooding. As we spoke there to Storm Norman, he was talking about we could have 2 to 4 inches, but if you'll look at that, over that period of time, we could see up to 7 inches.
And, we've had some rain last couple of days. Some of our ground is wet. It's already absorbed what water is going to absorb. And when you turn around the next day, we're getting 2 to 4 inches, sometimes 5 inches. There's nowhere for that water to go. It cannot absorb into the ground anymore. The trees are not drinking it as fast as what it's being given them. And now we're having runoff from hills down into our low-lying areas. This is going to cause flash flooding. And, I'm glad I'm not the one that makes the final decision with the school system. I work hand in hand, city and county schools. We sit down, we talk about this and push out as much information as we can. And people, that's a hard decision because you're not just looking at a possible tornado coming through, but you've got a flat-sided, tall school bus and 70-mile-an-hour winds and water covering roads in low-lying areas. And you've got a potential hazard for all the kids that's on a school bus. So they have a big decision to make. I know Meridian's already made their decision to close, and I think Lauderdale County is going to try and make a decision probably by 9 o'clock. I'm glad that's not on my shoulders. It's a tough one to do. But whatever their decision is, it was not made lightly, I can promise you. But there's a lot of stuff to look at, and it is a lot of studying. I've talked to them probably 5 times today, if not 7 times today, and each time we nitpick on each different little segment that they're looking. So they're trying to make the best educated guess you can on something that there's no map to, I guess you could say, of what it's going to do.
So far, Meridian Public Schools has closed. West Jasper School District has closed, and also Russell Christian Academy, Pre-K, and Potter's Wheel have closed. As you said, you've been talking with Lauderdale County, and they made a post that said they're looking at it, and they said they'd get back in touch with you in a little bit to make a further decision on this. We got folks watching us from Brandon, Mississippi tonight. I expect schools in that area to be making a decision as well before long. We had a question there of, and depending upon where you live, of your travel, they were wanting to know, is it going to be worse going to work or trying to get home? It's 7 o'clock. We're thinking it's Mother Nature. This can change, that it would be kind of the beginning of this. Later in the afternoon, it should be out of here by 6. So if you get off work at 3, you might be in the middle of it. It is really, truly, until we see this on radar, you can't say that's where it's going to be. We will later.
we'll know then. But, like you said, if this system runs through and at 4 o'clock it's over and it's pushed out and you don't get off till 5, you may be okay. Well, what if we had some damaging winds? What if we did have a tornado and now we've got power lines, we've got trees down, we've got flooded roads? So it's not just the storm itself, but it's what can happen during this storm and the different dangers that we have as a possibility to come through our area. So it's a lot that we really look at. We don't just look at the weather and say this is what we see coming through. It's the aftermath. It's what's actually being done during this storm system. Are we looking at a tornado? Possible. I think we were talking about this earlier. You and I. We were at about a 10% chance of a tornado in our area, and so we have to look at that and saying, okay, well, we're going to go with a 75% chance that we're going to get it. We're going to make sure that we've got all our ducks in a row. Our chainsaws are ready. Our fire department's out there. I tell you, Lauderdale County is blessed with some of the best men and women who have joined the volunteer fire departments. They work with us hand in hand. Every one of them will be out tomorrow, making sure that everybody in their particular area is safe. We're lucky to have the group of guys that we have, and then the team that I'm blessed with. It's not just me. You hear from me. You're kind of the spokesperson. You talk to me. I'm the spokesperson, but
his wife is really the one that tells him what to say.
She's in my ear now.
But you're right. I know your guys very well, and
yes,
no matter the time of night, they jump on this.
They're there, work or not. The next day, they're there, and they're taking out and looking after everybody in Lauderdale County. It's my team. I am blessed to have the team that I have that puts the time in, and the education. We bring National Weather Service in a couple of times a year to do a private class for us, and then we'll bring them in to do a storm spotters class for anybody in the community. But they do a couple of classes a year for us, and here's my guys taking time off of their day to come and sit in and learn what these radars are reading. How do we look at that and tell what this will develop into? And it's not an easy task.
We just got word that Quitman School District has been closed for tomorrow also. So we add another school to the list. We do expect a lot more. Now, if you've got a business closing, we also want to hear from you. You can post it on our page underneath our closings, or you can email it at scottyray1969@aol.com is another way to get that to us also. Let's look back at this as we look at a few more things that the National Weather Service, let's look at these timelines of what they're telling us, Odie. As we look across the state, that's what we see, a level 3 for Meridian. Could this go up? Of course it could. Yeah. It could move to a level 4. We don't know that. Right now we're banking on the level 3, but as you go from Vicksburg to Jackson, that will end about lunchtime. The Meridian area will be affected anywhere from 7 until 6 p.m. If you live anywhere east of Brandon, be on the lookout.
Yeah, that's when it's going to start speeding back up and making its way on into our area. That I-55 corridor, I don't know what it is that's wanting to slow that storm down, but it's not the first one, and it won't be the last one that'll get hung up in that area. And then that just makes it so hard to predict, when this storm system comes through. I mean, we're sitting at a 12-hour window, and, it's bad enough when we have a 4-hour wait list for a utility company to come to the house, and here we are waiting for a 12-hour window for weather.
Now, we are expecting high winds with this also, up to 70, am I right on that?
Up to 70 miles an hour. On a wet ground with trees that are saturated, that increases boy, I just got lost for words. That doesn't happen much, does it? That increases the chance of those trees becoming uprooted.
Correct.
Pine tree is, that's deep rooted. The tops are going to snap out of a pine tree. Our oaks and hardwood, they're a wide tree, not very deep, and those are the ones who tend to completely fall over. And we've got some huge hardwoods out there, and they look beautiful by the homes, but they do a lot of damage.
And that's why I stress do not sleep. If you got a huge limb, a huge tree that's right next to your house, don't stay in that room. Too many people lose their lives with this. One of the most common ways that people are killed. High winds.
Exactly. That's, there was one I just saw on that last that you put up right there where we've got a number 1 is marginal, up to a number 5 that is high. I know some of y'all, I've gotten the calls this last storm. Why are we seeing a torcon? What does that mean? And then we push out 1 to 5, and a torcon goes from 1 to 10. So you can basically say a torcon of 5 would be in between an enhanced and a moderate, or right at enhanced. And then a torcon of 10 would be our 5 or high. So
now that is dealing with the Weather Channel. One of those, that's their terminology.
That's their terminology. They've got to be a little bit different.
Right.
That's their way of pushing it out. So we use 1 through 5. They use 1 through 10. So you double what we've got, and you'll have their torcon, or you half their torcon, and you'll have what we use from the 1 to 5. So,
and with this same system, as I was looking at comments here, as it moves across the United States, we have somebody commenting from West Virginia what they're going to get out of it. They're expecting a little over an inch of ice and 3 feet of snow possibility of getting a lot of snow. We're saying this is like Snowmageddon.
Man, that's I bless y'all up there. Y'all are in my prayers as well. We don't need that here. We don't need any of that down here for sure.
But as we said, on the horizon, there is a minute chance we may see December 23rd, 24th some snow.
That's exactly right.
Early, but
a little early, but and it's getting a little bit easier to predict some of these things. A few years ago, there's no way that you could really predict as far out as they can now. Radar's come a long ways. The historical data that puts all this together has come a long ways. But we take each storm and look at it different from the last storm. Somebody asked about hail. So tomorrow we could see anything from a dime size hail up to golf ball size hail, and so that's a big chunk of ice that's coming down. So you want to make sure that you've got somewhere not just for you, but for your outside animals. We can't stress that enough. Your outside animals need to be took care of too. They get just as scared as we do when the bad weather comes. They can feel this better than we can. I'm sure my dog's probably under the bed now.
They hear better.
Like it.
They sense. You know it as well as I do.
Yes, they do.
Now, if y'all will notice on this map here, most of Mississippi here has this light green tint. This is already a watch that we've got on the east side as we look at this is an aerial flood watch. Now, if we move west to Vicksburg, just north of here, we've already got a tornado watch in effect until 2 a.m. for our friends over there. I know we've had several people ask, well, what's going to happen in Jackson? Jackson is this overnight issue.
That's the dangerous part. It's going to be during bedtime when it comes through Jackson and Brandon area. That's going to be at the times that you're normally sleeping good. And now we're going to have this come through our area at the time that we're just getting up. So maybe go to bed just a little early so you can get up just a little bit more early than you normally do, and get on the internet and look up Scotty Ray and find out what's going on. Get on your Nixle. If you hadn't signed up for the Nixle.
Explain that to everybody who doesn't understand what y'all do with that.
Yeah, so with our Nixle, it's our notification system. You can type in 39301 or text 39301 to 888-777. And with that, we push out all of your weather alerts, your warnings, your watches, all of that. We try now. It's tough because we're trying to do this just as fast as we can. But we'll type out and we'll start following different systems that we see that may pose a danger as it comes into Lauderdale County and where it's going throughout Lauderdale County. And that's strictly, over the telephone or text message way to to get that. So that's just text 39301 to 888-777. You don't have to do anything else. It may ask you for an email. Don't have to put any of that in there. Just do that. You're done. And then there's going to be a phone number on there to get with our EOC, and I'll give you that number. But if you have any damage or anything else, if it's an emergency, definitely 911. If you just have damage and you need to report that, there's only one EOC in Lauderdale County, and that includes City of Meridian. We're all one county, and that's Lauderdale EMA Emergency Operations Center, and that phone number is 601-482-9857.
Pure talent there to remember that.
I tell you, it's all these numbers. I don't know how I remember it anymore. The cell phones have spoiled me because they're all saved in there now.
You just touch.
Yeah, it's just boom, bring it up. But if you need anything, call us. We've got ham operators, these radio that will work when nothing else works. And we've got a ham radio team, and these guys sit there and talk to each other. So some of them are completely following this storm all the way through. So we have not just radar, but we've also got real-time reports on what's coming across throughout the state. So now, working hand in hand with these other counties is awesome.
We're getting word here as we go to the National Weather Service and see what they're talking about right now. In the Delta region, coming out of Arkansas and Mississippi, they're saying that the gusts are already gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour in the Mississippi Delta. Now, let me pull up something. I've got... let me find a button here, and we'll look real quick here. I got another one that I'd like to show. I can't see good, Odie.
You can borrow my glasses. I can't.
I think this is the right one. Yeah. This is what we're showing. I want to show you what gusts are looking like right now. Let's pull up wind gust of what we've got in the area as we look at this. Let me go back. I got to hit another button. I get kind of carried away when it comes to all this. This is the Meridian area right now. Gust right now. Look at that, 30 miles an hour in Meridian as we look at this coming from Bama.
That's right. It's coming from the southeast, and our storm system's coming from the west, southwest. So you've got that clash right there. The temperatures, our wind. Now that wind shear, that's something that we really look at, and we split apart on our radars, and we're looking at how that wind at 40, 50,000 feet is interacting with the storm system down below it. Also, the vertical wind shear. So it's not just looking at that radar, but it's looking at our high velocity wind shear and what it's doing and the direction of these storms. And that's not something that'll really make you smile when you see that type of wind coming from the opposite direction of our storm that's producing a lot of wind. And that's two angry people wanting to meet.
It is 33 gusts there in Philadelphia. Louisville, we'll seeing 34 right now over at Kosciuszko. Look at that, 37. And the further as we talk there about what the National Weather Service was seeing here. Look at this as we get in here to the Mississippi Delta, Greenville, Mississippi, already 45. Gusting.
Yeah. That's a lot of wind.
For your kids that are at Mississippi State tonight, 36. We're looking at West Point at 33, Columbus Air Force Base at 36, and that's pretty thick there. Tupelo having 40-mile-an-hour gusts tonight.
See, look at that storm system as they meet there to the left over in the west side, and you see what that wind is doing
right in there.
Yeah, seeing how that's coming together and causing that disturbance. That's not something that we really want to see. That's something that we will continue to monitor throughout the night.
And as we talk about, and let's talk about this, and I'll put you on the spot, as we have people that are traveling that have to work, they do get caught in storms. It happens every day. What is the best thing to do if you're driving your car, Odie, and you're going down the road and you're caught up in one of these storms? What do you do?
The last thing you want to do is to get caught up. That's the safest way. But just because you're in that car does not mean that you are safe. That wind can get underneath that car and can roll that car over. Trees can land on top of you and your car. We have that, unfortunately. It seems like every storm system that we have come through, we have a tree that's fallen on a car with people inside. The best place to do is find you somewhere to go with that car. You've got to get into a place that is structurally sound for you to get inside of. If that means leave your car and go somewhere safer, that's it. Not just under a bridge. Just because you're under a bridge doesn't mean you're safe, because now you have confined the wind into that area, and it can be stronger inside that
It's not
bridge.
like the movies, is what you're telling
It's
me.
not like the movies. It can be more dangerous under that bridge than it is on the outside. So
We had a question right there that kind of plays in this. John said temperature right where he is right now is 59 degrees. It should hold. He's asking, is that temperature, we're expecting it to be 59
it should.
to 60.
Yeah, and that's going to be about normal. This cold front coming through about 6 p.m. tomorrow night, we'll see some temperatures drop. But yeah, that's going to be what we're looking at now, 60 degrees thereabout. As long as it stays there, doesn't go up any higher, we're looking better.
Right.
But so that's overnight. You'll see that drop a little bit, but not much.
James said, nice jacket. And let me explain the jacket. You know how you
I
have
like
to,
that.
You know how you have to call somebody out? I went home to have dinner before you and I came on, and I walked in my house, and my wife, if she's listening, is one of those that believes in 20-degree weather, and I cannot eat and my teeth chatter. I have to wear a jacket, and I forgot to take it off when I sat out. But I'm showing my Mississippi State here. And again, we do send thoughts and prayers to everybody with Mississippi State with our tragic loss. That is a tough one there.
Definitely, that is. I hate to hear that news, and that's very sad for their family. We've definitely got them in our prayers to keep them uplifted. This time of year, any time is not good, but now coming into the holidays, and just all of a sudden, just hate that for the family, and hate that for Starkville and the team. I really do.
All right, we just had a new tornado warning out to our west issued. And while we're on weather, I'm just going to pull this up so the folks can see this. As we look to our west, let me show you where we are. We're sitting right here out to our due west of here. Here's Monroe, Louisiana. We'll go due north of there near El Dorado. As we look at this, tornado warning has been issued until 8:15 for the folks there in Union County, Arkansas. Just across that line there in Arkansas. So if you've got family in that area there, pretty serious storm as we look at that. This is running at 81 miles an hour. That's
moving.
It is. Now, on the scale of 1 to 10 of what my radar system uses, and you use this as well, they're rating this at a 4.4. Not as potentially bad as it could be. When you get up to around 7, I've talked about this before, it's where the old term of go somewhere quick, take cover. Whenever they issue these, take cover, but this could be worse than it is.
It could be, and like I said, we're looking at that and trying to judge what we could see develop south of there. This system may eat all that energy up, and we not have a whole lot left. That's what happened this last time we went through a system. The energy was just sucked out of that storm, which was great for us. But with the winds, the temperature, the cold front behind it, this one doesn't look like the energy is going to be dissipated much.
No, it doesn't.
It's building itself. It's got its own energy with it. And so we're looking at that, and prayers go out to everybody that's involved up north and out west of us. But we got a mess coming
We do.
on.
Now, we'll be monitoring this throughout the night, throughout tomorrow. I'll be in close contact with Lima of what they're doing, what they're expecting to keep everybody up to date as this moves forward. We'll have more closings, I'm sure, being added to our list that we've got going. Again, you can find that on our page or on our webpage at sammedia.network. Either one of those places. Should this turn bad, we'll also be joining live on Fox 30. They'll go live with us as well to make sure that more people are even covered, that we can handle and let everyone know. And that's the key to all of this is I don't care how you get notified, just so that you are notified. We want
As long
you
as
safe.
it's not by U.S. mail, it'll be okay.
That's right. Yeah.
I won't.
You want to point that out?
Yeah, I might be wrong for that.
No, I think that kind of hit it there.
There'll be a few of us out there that kind of know what we're talking about. But yeah, this is something that you've got to have multiple ways to get your information, whether it's through the Nixle app, whether it's through Facebook, YouTube, Scotty Ray, however you get it. But there's got to be multiple ways. And don't turn the alarms off on your phones that the National Weather Service puts out. Keep that on there, as annoying as it is. Keep that on there.
And Denise, I appreciate you reporting the scammer that somebody, one of those, they just do that all the time. They just can't help it. You get a large group of people together, they got to post something.
Yeah, they have to do that. And, so hopefully, Meridian School's closed. Hopefully, we'll know about 9 o'clock tonight. I'm sure we'll talk to Tim and Dr. Kane and look at this a little bit more and try and give them as much information as we can give for them to make the best decision for the kids going to school.
All right, I think that's going to wrap everything up. Denise did make a great closing point. Charge your phones.
Make sure you charge your phones. That's it. Get you an extra battery. They're about $9-10 at Walmart, and keep that charged for your phones if they go dead. And now that you're talking about charging the phone, there's a slight chance that we may lose power. So be prepared for that. Your heat, if we do drop down and get a little bit of cold, how are you going to heat your room? How are you going to cook? Do you have some non-perishable food that you've got? So Denise, you hit that one on the head, bringing that up. Thank you.
Well, let me, while we're there, let's just quickly look at this. We can tell you of who's without power right now as we look at this across Texas. Roughly at about 4,000 people out in Texas, Louisiana, we're looking at 560. When you get up in here to Arkansas, 2,300. Above that, Missouri, about 1,000. Mississippi, we're only at 600 people without outages. And let's look at this. And this is going to be up in the Delta. We were seeing these wind effects right there.
So that's where that shear's coming at. And this storm system meeting together. And so now you've got down to power lines. If you've got trees down, you've got to cut the trees away from the lines. You've got to have time to get the lines back up. Power companies work hard. They work as fast as they can. We have both between Mississippi Power and EMEPA. We're blessed to have the guys that we work with down here. We participate with both of them every year. Great group of guys to work with, and they work with each one of our county fire departments and the city fire department. I can tell you now, they're busting it trying to get all that power back on, but they're not going to do it in the middle of a storm.
No, you can't.
They've got to be safe too. They've got families they want to go home to. They've got power issues at their house, but they're not going to go out and start trying to rebuild this power grid until it is safe for them to do so.
Somebody mentioned something up there about how is Mississippi County, Arkansas. We're showing you where the storm is as it makes its way here. What happens to the west of us will most likely affect us. It's just like when we talk about crime in the mornings. If it happens in another part of the United States, you can bet your boots that somebody here is learning how to do that.
That's right.
And we try to give you heads up on what happens, whether it's weather, whether it's news or crime, whatever the case is. That's what we're going to do. Odie, I can't thank you enough for coming in. Did you
enjoy it?
Did you get supper? Or you got to go eat supper?
No, I grabbed something, and we were sitting there eating, and you called, and I looked at my wife, and I said, well, baby, I grabbed my shirt, and she goes, what are you doing? I didn't hear your radio go off. And I said, Scotty Ray, and she said, okay. So it didn't take long. We come right on over, and glad to do it, and enjoy being with you and talking weather and getting this information out to the people. And, it's always great to have somebody that we can talk to just like that and be able to get the information out to keep everybody safe.
We'll see you back tomorrow. Join us again at 6:30 in the morning, then again at 8 o'clock, and then all throughout the day. We don't know what's going to be happening, but we do know that we'll be here for you. Lock us in, follow us, and you'll be up to date with all of this. Odie, thanks.
That's it. Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners: